Hello folks, welcome to another Language Ops video. I'm Luke and I did build Language Ops over the last year or two with perhaps a different aim in mind, but it's kind of evolved into something interesting, I hope, for anyone in the language industry or anyone sort of with a localization department or needs for language services. Basically, I've been in the industry as a translator and then later as an agency owner. So as a linguist, I did French and Swedish to English text, and then sort of had an outsourcing operation on the side, which I quite enjoyed, but wasn't my main sort of bread and butter for many years. And then it kind of took over for a while. And then I went back to freelancing at a certain point as I focused down on like technical subjects. I kind of always been a technical person. I've enjoyed coding since I was like a kid, basically 12 or so. And then I was essentially after or while being a linguist, I kind of overlapped with file engineering work and ended up being engineering lead for a large agency. I say medium-sized agency. It depends on how you look at it. It was certainly bigger than anything I was used to. And now I sort of consult as well around the language industry and the technical side of things. So the reason I built it was essentially that gap in the market where, and this is basically the tail end of 2023, I think, where I wanted to just try and improve machine translation with an LLM. And it worked. It was great. I had some scripts running and they could fix up, the good output from a blend of machine translation and TM work, but it was leaving behind all the telltale signs of an LLM. And so I wanted finer sort of control over that. So we've put in place, alongside the traditional tools that we have, sort of translation memories with 9 millisecond lookups, term bases similarly, and those lookups are over gigabyte TMs. We can do all that stuff. We can upload files with 2 million rows, huge files, no problem splitting files, opening them together, like everything you'd expect from a modern editor, including exports and analysis and so on and so forth. We have an audit history. Like, we wanted to just keep the traditional workflows and everything that has an input on quality. We wanted to keep hold of that while then allowing context to be added and research, which we can automate through web searches now and agents and various things, custom translation rules and style guides. This can all be added to a project now, and then when you run the pre-translation, you can decide whether you want TM only or AI translation, and then whether you want to include cross-language matches. So say you have a Spanish job and you have a Portuguese TM, the job's already done in Portuguese, or you have a German and a Dutch, Swedish, Danish, Norwegian. You essentially can lean on, and the AI can lean on the previous translations for structure, grammatical choices. All that work done by the previous linguist can be borrowed and used to influence the new translation, even though it's a different language. So that wasn't possible before, and that's a nice new thing to have. I have also done a lot of manual work over the years on file engineering, and I've built some tools into this software that take file engineering off the hands of PMs. Essentially, you can choose to have just column A or B, or L and M and O and P, and you can have so the row progression through the editor can be sort of horizontal or vertical if it helps with the context. You can have, let me think, also all manner of options in file engineering now that were previously required a human essentially to go through and potentially add mistakes and copy and paste something incorrectly. Maybe there's a character limit on the paste that someone wasn't aware of, and suddenly we have things being truncated or We've seen this kind of thing happen a lot. There are quite complex requirements sometimes, and that aspect being automated as much as possible. Plus we handle 80 file formats, but we do like custom filters within those, especially using an LLM to create the filters. So yeah, all these like layers of additional stuff we've built on top of essentially what we would want in a translation ourselves. So let's see here. Let's just unmark this as complete. So you can see tags are all handled as expected. Character limits, we've just put some false ones in here, which is to match the source, and they're highlighted quite easily. You can filter by these. And the speed with which everything happens is what we've been really working on. So you can quickly see that you'd be able to work through huge files, and we do indeed have huge files in the project repository. Large file formats here. This is an example of 250,000 rows, and this is an example of 500,000 rows. 2 million words in this file. Let's open that up. Less than a second, we can access our text. We have context keys, and we have an inbuilt QA, so no need for third-party software for that. 38 checks it works through, or criteria, so for matching, punctuation, format, casing, all sorts of things. And let me see here. And then you can work through any file issues you have. Let me show you the QA process, maybe on another project. So we've run QA on this one previously. You can see in another video where we start a project, this project from start to end, and you can pin this, expand it, and you can work through the side. Alphanumeric mismatch, but because of the comma, you can choose to ignore it and move on, and work all the way down through all those errors. And you can ignore all of that type if you so wish. And then we have a spelling checker as well, which I don't think I showed in the last video, and that suggests some words for you. Because this is the English, it's checking bonk is not correct in English, but we can just add that or ignore it and move on. Okay, so I came through from linguist to technical LSP type person, now consulting with LSPs and automating various workflows across tools, which is almost getting easier at the moment with everyone releasing an API and various ways of connecting between them, which is great. But there are always a few technicalities, of course, that you have to work through. So we've solved, hopefully, the problem of slow tools. There are actually still leading tools on the market that are slow and plagued with problems, which we've strived to overcome. Manual work we've tried to do away with as much as possible, things like auto-advancing workflows, and even end-to-end workflow, which runs its own QA, fixes it, runs its own LQA and fixes that, and also includes the translation with extra context that makes such a difference compared to previous early LLM translations or even MT. It blows it out of the water in terms of accuracy. And then your human process can, in-country reviewer and whatnot, can do a final pass at the end with a custom workflow of as many steps as you require. So the AI is part of the overall. Humans are still signing things off if you want them to. We can have different layers of quality and different levels depending how much context we give, how much sort of TMs, TBs, research, LQAs that we run. We can either do one pass or we can do 5 passes. You know, it's up to us how much we want to focus on a text and how much time we want to spend, but all the tools are available here and at speed. So that was the idea. We have roles for linguists and roles for PMs. Linguists are free to add, and they have limited access to the various tools. And on a project level, you can choose whether a linguist can QA their own work, whether they can pre-translate, or whether you do that in advance with more control over the context. That's kind of up to you. You can check who did what at which stage with the audit history, and also the history within the editor. And as well, I guess it might just be worth showing that we don't just do text at this point, not to confuse, but we've also been working on a video editor, which essentially allows you to dub and subtitle a project and clone the voice of that person. So this is the cloned voice. Let me mute that. And that's the English voice. So this guy, Dr. Fahy, has a very unique voice, and the clone has kind of picked up really nicely on that, I think. Qu'arrive-t-il aux compétences? So the tone and the timbre are very similar, and really it's just a case of working on the timing at that point, and improving the match between the on-screen text, the subtitles, and the dubbing. But that's the subject of another video. We can go through that then. We have text, we have audio, we have video, we have text-to-speech, batch transcriptions, alignment tools, an OCR service, and even a real-time translation / interpreting module that's nearing completion. We also have tools for content creation, SEO, and multilingual content, but we'll release those and do a video on those in good time. But for now, those are more or less the reasons behind why Language Ops exists. I hope you think that's sort of a good direction for the industry, because there is a lot of change, there is a lot of threat to workflows, existing sort of levels, I guess, of quality that we're seeing now, but we can also access much more scale, and we can work through connectors and have continuous integration, continuous deployment, and we can do things that weren't possible before with a human still at the helm. So I hope you'll find this interesting, and leave a comment down below. Reach out to us, Luke at languageops.com, to talk to me, or contact us through the website if you'd like to talk to one of the team. We'll be happy to walk you through and even upload some of your files and show you what the kind of workflows will be like. Bring us your tough files, we'll have a go, and I'm sure we'll be able to have a look with you. So thank you for watching, and hopefully we'll be in touch. Bye for now.